Today, we're heading somewhere truly special, the roof of the world. And we're on the hunt for a creature that's so elusive, some people think it's more myth than mammal. That's right, we're diving into the world of the magnificent snow leopard.
So, I want you to picture this, one of the most brutal, unforgiving landscapes on the entire planet. We're talking high-altitude deserts, jagged peaks in Asia. Just picture it. What kind of animal could possibly thrive in a place like that?
Well, the answer is an apex predator that's been perfectly, almost sculpted by this extreme environment. It's so good at disappearing, so solitary, that it's earned this almost legendary title, the Ghost of the Mountains.
All right, so let's dig into that. Why a ghost? Well, it all starts with where this animal lives. A world that's basically just rock, ice, and very, very thin air.
Okay, so the snow leopard's kingdom, it stretches across these massive mountain ranges in Central and South Asia. And we're talking about elevations so ridiculously high that most life just can't handle it. This is their turf, this rocky, broken terrain. It's the perfect camouflage, right? And it gives them these amazing vantage points to just watch over their whole vast domain.
Yeah, living in a place like that is, well, it's not easy. You have to be a total biological masterpiece to pull it off. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of how this ghost is just perfectly engineered for the cold and the cliffs.
First things first, let's talk about that coat. It's just incredible. The fur can grow up to 12 centimeters. That's almost 5 inches long. But it's not just the length, it's the density that's mind-blowing. It is so thick. It gives them insulation that another big cat, like a tiger, could only dream of having.
And then you've got its paws. They are massive. They're broad, and they're covered in fur, even on the bottom. And this is genius design, really. It does two things. First, they act like built-in snowshoes, spreading out the leopard's weight so it doesn't sink. And second, all that fur gives it incredible insulation and grip on those crazy icy surfaces.
And that brings us to maybe one of its most iconic features, that tail. Look at it. It's nearly as long as its entire body. It's basically a Swiss Army knife for survival. It acts like a rudder for balance when it's leaping across these giant gaps. It stores vital fat. And get this, it even wraps around its face like a built-in scarf to protect it from the insane cold when it's sleeping. How cool is that?
So, you hear big cat, you think roar, right? It's a powerful predator in the same family as lions and tigers. But here's the twist. Unlike its famous cousins, the snow leopard can't roar at all. So, why not?
Well, the answer is all in its anatomy. The vocal folds in its throat, they're super short, just 9 millimeters. They just don't have what it takes to produce that deep, booming roar. So instead, it communicates with a whole different set of sounds. Meows, hisses, and yes, even purrs. Imagine that. A giant mountain cat that purrs but can't roar.
Okay, so we've got this amazingly adapted animal. How does all that incredible biology translate into its lifestyle? Well, as you might guess, its behavior is every bit as specialized.
Snow leopards are the ultimate loners for sure. They're most active at dawn and dusk, and they use that low light to their full advantage. They just patrol these cliffs and ridges using that insane camouflage and a whole lot of patience to become, well, pretty much invisible to their prey.
And to do all that hunting, they need a lot of space. A single male's home range can be up to 270 square kilometers. That's over 100 square miles. Think about that. That is an enormous area for one animal to patrol, and it really tells you just how few and far between resources and prey can be way up there.
So what's on the menu in these huge territories? Well, their favorite meals are big mountain animals like blue sheep and ibex, and their hunting tactic is brilliant. They use the steep terrain to their advantage, stalking from above, and then launching these incredible surprise ambushes. Now, if the big stuff is scarce, they're not too proud to go after smaller animals like marmots. But this is also where things get complicated, because occasionally that menu includes domestic livestock, which brings them into direct conflict with people.
And that conflict, it's a huge part of the snow leopard's modern story. Here you have this ancient predator, perfectly adapted to its world for thousands of years, and now it's facing a whole new set of threats. Threats it just can't evolve its way out of.
This is the tough part. The snow leopard is officially listed as vulnerable. What does that mean? It means scientists estimate there are fewer than 10,000 mature individuals left in the entire world. And the projections? They show a potential 10% drop in their population in the coming decades. Those numbers they're stark.
The dangers really come from three main directions. First, you've got poaching.
Its beautiful pelt is highly valued, and its body parts are used in some traditional medicines. Then there's the human-wildlife conflict, retaliatory killings from herders who are just trying to protect their livestock. That's a huge problem. And finally, there's habitat loss. Its fragile alpine home is literally shrinking, squeezed by human activity and climate change, as a warming planet pushes forests higher up the mountains.
And this data right here, it really puts that poaching threat into sharp focus. These aren't just abstract numbers on a chart. We're talking about hundreds of these incredible animals being illegally killed every single year across their range. And you can see that China is a major hotspot for this terrible trade.
But it's not all bad news. The story isn't over. As these threats have gotten worse, the fight to save the species has gotten stronger. There's a real global effort underway to make sure the ghost of the mountains doesn't just disappear.
This table gives us a sense of where the last of these cats are. You can see the vast majority, an estimated 4,500 of them, live in China, on the Tibetan Plateau. Knowing this, understanding this distribution is absolutely crucial. It helps us focus conservation efforts right where they can have the biggest impact.
And here's where we get some real hope. 12. That's the number of countries that have come together to protect the snow leopard and its home. All 12 nations where they live are collaborating. And let me tell you, that kind of international cooperation is rare, and it's absolutely essential for an animal that, doesn't really care about our borders.
So what's the plan? Well, it's a multi-pronged attack. You've got strict legal protections against hunting and trade. You have these big, coordinated global programs to protect their habitat. And maybe most importantly, you have people on the ground working directly with local communities to figure out how people and snow leopards can actually coexist.
And that really brings us to the final big question. The very thing that makes the snow leopard so mythical, its elusiveness, is also what makes it so incredibly hard to study and protect. So the challenge for all of us is this: how do you save a ghost? How do we protect a future for an animal that we can barely even see?